What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Down South Packers podcast with me, your host, Anthony Boyd. Today I'm going to be going over my first mock draft of the year, looking at some players that I like, some people that I'm interested in the Packers maybe pursuing, some people I think could really help this Packers team out, some young talent that could kind of go along with some pieces I think that they could pursue in free agency. So we'll be diving into that here shortly. But before I do that, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and listening to the podcast. It means a whole lot to me. If you can go ahead and subscribe down below, follow on all the podcast platforms if you're listening to it, just the audio. I really appreciate the support, and it really helps me motivate me to keep doing this content and producing things talking about the Packers. I really enjoy doing it. So again, you guys can just subscribe, and we'll go ahead and hop into this mock draft, my first one of the year. Obviously, we know that the Packers need cornerback play. That's something that's huge. The cornerback play last year was very lackluster, whether it was downfield coverage, people getting open late, um, allowing people to just run by you in zone, not really picking up on people or not matching up to people in the way that you should. The Packers had a lot of coverage issues, tackling out on the perimeter, especially with somebody like Carrington Valentine, who I really like. He would diagnose the play, but then miss the tackle, and then the play would go for a touchdown, like we saw with the Jameson Williams play. I think it was on Thanksgiving when that one happened. That kind of stuff happened far too often for this Packers team. And Gutekunst said that the cornerback room was okay. He said Nixon had a good year. He was at the top of the league in pass breakups, or near the top of the league in pass breakups. And he said that he thought that Carrington Valentine had a pretty good season. Nate Hobbs dealt with injury. He spoke on that a little bit at his end of season press conference. But I don't know if Gutekunst meant that. I don't believe that. I don't think he's going to sit still and not go after cornerbacks here. So with the 52nd pick, I went ahead and had the Packers taking Colton Hood out of Tennessee, formerly of Auburn and Colorado before he got to Tennessee. He played at Colorado with Travis Hunter, had the ability to play some while Travis was there. Matched up against Ted McMillan while he was at Colorado and held him to, I believe, 5 catches and 38, 39 yards. Had a really good game against Ted McMillan. We saw who Ted McMillan is, ended up being Offensive Rookie of the Year, really good player. And Colton Hood matched up with him well that game. Also came away with an interception in that game against Arizona when Ted McMillan was there. So I think he shows that he could play against some of the best talent in the country. After he transferred to Tennessee this season, he only had one interception, but that lone interception went for a pick six. Also ended up coming away with a fumble recovery that led to a touchdown. Um, he has the skills that you want to see from a corner. He's 6'1", 188. Really good speed, really good ball skills. Tackling is something it's not terrible, but it can be improved. And I think he has the physicals to improve his tackling. I'm not too concerned about him being able to come in and correct that. He's one of the top corners in this class for a reason. He's able to come in and fix that. I think he'll be a really good player for the Packers. He fits in because he's really able to diagnose plays. Could fit in with the zone scheme like Gannon's likely going to run. He'll be able to kind of plug and play out there at the perimeter and play corner for the Packers. I would love for them to go after this kid. We'll see how he tests. And I said kid, he's probably the same age as me with college kids now. I'm only 25, but I'm excited to see his speed in the combine. People talked really highly of him at the Senior Bowl. So if the Packers could come away with this one, I'd be a happy camper. Had 50 tackles and 8 pass breakups as well this past season at Tennessee. That's nothing to scoff at. Really good player. I would love the Packers to take him at 52. Probably a 4.4 40 type of guy. Has the speed that's needed to match up with some of these faster receivers in the NFC North, especially going up against like a Justin Jefferson. Luther Burden's coming on. As much as I don't want to talk about the Bears, he's a pretty good receiver. I think he would be. Oh, Monroe St. Brown, don't want to sleep on him. He can. Jameson Williams. Let me not disrespect all the people in the NFC North before the fans come and get me. But I would like the Packers to go after Colton Hood here at 52. Moving on to round 3. I think the Packers are going to look towards the interior of this defensive line. Without Devontae Wyatt last year, we saw how steep the drop off was, and that's no disrespect to Carl Brooks or any of those guys that came in and tried to make an impact in the interior of the line, but they just aren't Devontae Wyatt. Devontae Wyatt struggled with injuries here in his career. I think he's still going to get re-signed, get an extension. and be with the Packers for a while because his impact is that great on the team. I don't see the Packers doing anything funny with his contract this offseason. Hopefully he can get an extension and keep pushing and keep being a Packer. Um, Him along with Micah, obviously on that defensive line together, when they're in there together, it's a great combo to have. But I do think the Packers need more help in that area. I see Goody maybe going defense here again. So in the third round, I have them picking Skylar Guild-Howard out of Texas Tech. This is a pick that some people might be confused about because he's not that big of a player. He's only 6'1", 290. Why would you take this kind of defensive tackle in this place in the third round, this early in the third round? My reasoning for it is, and considering he just came off of an injury while he was at Texas Tech, my reason for taking him here, I like his speed and his motor. He's a kid that didn't get recruited that highly out of high school. Went the D2 route, I believe, at like Upper Iowa, and then after that ended up at NIU for the Huskies, where he was part of that team that upset Notre Dame on the road in South Bend. He was on that team. After that, transfers to Texas Tech. Has a pretty good start to the season. Has 6 or so QB hits in his first few games. Some tackles for loss. Issue is he hurt his ankle. But before that, he had a pick 6. So I like his athleticism. I like his ability to pursue the ball. Really good at not giving up on plays. That's something that we saw with the defensive line for the Packers outside of Micah. There was just Wyatt too. I'd say there's not a high motor for some of these guys, and they'll give up on plays and not pursue even as defensive linemen. And I really want to see those defensive linemen fly into the football, even though they might have gotten beat on the play. And that fell off really the back half of the year, probably not even half. The majority of the season, the Packers started off with their piss hot and ran all over the field. You saw 11 yellow hats to the ball pretty much every play. But as the season progressed, that slowed down. And after Michael went out, it was 100%. It was almost gone. You'd like to see almost everybody. Well, not almost. You'd like to see all 11 people flying to the ball. And Skylar Guild-Howard, with his size, with his speed, he probably runs a 4.9 at defensive tackle. That's the kind of player that I'd like the Packers to have at the interior of the defensive line. Has the ability to shoot through gaps. Can get beat at times just because of his size. Like I said, 6'1", 290. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but I like his speed, and if the Packers can pick up a player like him on the interior of the defensive line to pair with a Wyatt, more of a space eater, you get a little more speed in the inside. I'd like to see him there. And not to mention he's from Wisconsin. He's a Wisconsin kid, so bring him back home, let him play in the Midwest for the Packers. I don't know if he grew up a Packers fan or not. I didn't do that much research to that extent, but I would love to see him be a Packer. Bring him back home to the Midwest. Goody. I'd like to see that one. Moving down to the fourth round. Again, I think the Packers will go defense. This is going to be early in my draft. I went defense heavy because we know cornerback and defensive tackle are something that the Packers just need depth at. Those are two positions that have struggled all year last year on the defensive side. So here at corner, I went with Julian Neal out of Arkansas. He's 6'1", 202. More of a prototypical style cornerback, longer arms, lankier guy. Ability to play through the ball was really well. He's not the fastest guy in the world. He's not as fast as a Colton Hood, but I like his size at corner. I like bigger corners personally. I don't like Sauce Gardner that much, but I like his size. A Richard Sherman. I like to see those kind of cornerbacks. Julian Neal's not that big, but he has size to the point where he can set the edge on runs. He's really good at tackling in the run game, something I said the Packers needed to improve on. He had 2 interceptions, I think, this season at Arkansas. Played really well for them. I think he could be a huge addition for the Packers secondary. He's very smart at understanding route combinations that are coming out of the backfield. Well, coming out of, I don't know if they have the backfield, but reading route combinations, he's really good at it. Solid player out of Arkansas. Not much more to say than that. I'd like to see the Packers go after another corner here with their 3rd pick in this draft, with their 4th pick in the 5th round. Defense again. Going defense again. Defensive tackle this time. Being from South Carolina. See some South Carolina, college players. DeMonte Capehart is one that I like the Packers to take here in the 5th round. He's someone that I enjoyed watching a lot at Clemson. Obviously, Peter Woods is going to get a lot of the hype. He's going to be a first-round pick. TJ Parker likely will be a first-round pick too. Those guys are great. DeMonte Capehart, somebody who kind of fell behind them because he's just not those guys. People didn't pay as much attention to him, but he's huge at 6'5", 315. He's a huge player, a space eater, as one of our friends likes to call defensive tackles. Someone else that the Packers could plug at the interior of the defensive line. He's very physical at the point of attack. Really puts linemen on their butt. Great player. I don't have many downsides to getting a DeMonte Capehart. He doesn't. It's not like he's out of shape and has a small motor or anything. He works really hard, plays hard. I'm a Clemson fan, so I'm going to speak very highly of him anyways. But I'd love to see the Packers go after DeMonte Capehart. Freak athlete. He does have the ability sometimes to get a little too vertical when he's coming off the ball, and people might get him like that. But other than that, he's really strong. Like I said, really physical at the point of attack. DeMonte Capehart at defensive tackle, huge for the Packers. Can play that D tackle in a 4-3. Also has some speed. He's not big and slow. He eats up space, but he has a huge impact at the defensive tackle position. So Packers go after him, please, in the 5th round. In round 6, we're going to start transitioning to offense. I think skill positions are pretty good right now for the Packers. I don't see huge needs for a receiver or anything like that. So we're going to go work on this offensive line because there's some holes, obviously. You have center, guard, just any interior line you probably need some help at. Right guard, if you're keeping Anthony Belton there, I'm fine with that. But the left guard position, the center position, we know our tackles are Jordan Morgan at the left, Zach Tom at right. Let's figure out the middle of this offensive line. And I have the Packers picking Bryce Foster out of Kansas. My reason for this pick being he's very athletic. He's 6'5", 310. Good in the run game, good in pass protection. Sean Ryan struggled a lot in pass protection this past season at center, especially when there were kind of stunts ran at him. Any kind of movement, sometimes he would overset, leaving a gap, and Jordan's getting pressure up the middle of the line, something you don't want to see. That happened a good bit. I prefer if that didn't happen, so we're going to go ahead and try to bolster the middle of this offensive line, get a big body in there, big athletic body. Bryce Foster also went to Texas A&M before he got to Kansas, where he was a shot putter on the track and field team and was set records for the school. So he's athletic, strong. I like him. Going back to Goody's press conference, obviously Goody's big on using pieces interchangeably. I'm not a huge fan of cross-training everybody. I'd like to see, especially like a Jordan Morgan, just stay at left tackle. But Goody's big on cross-training people, getting them into different spots. With somebody as athletic as Bryce Foster, now I'd want him at center personally. I don't want to move around too much, maybe try him at guard, but nothing more than that. Just use an athletic body so that this coaching staff, if they needed to and wanted to move people around a little bit, then they could. That's why I like Bryce Foster here in the 6th round. I traded back up in my draft into the 6th round because I wanted another interior lineman. Somebody else who's also an athlete, can move, is pretty good at their size. I moved up and got Thomas Rimac. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. I'm so sorry, man, if I'm pronouncing it wrong. Thomas Rimac. Don't know. I'm so sorry. Guard out of Virginia Tech. I was also at West Virginia before he got to Virginia Tech this past year. Had a pretty good season at Virginia Tech. Again, got him for the same reason that Goody would pick a lineman. We know that, like I said, Gutekunst is looking for players who he can plug and play at different positions. Rimac played all 5 positions on the offensive line this year at Virginia Tech. Great player, can move at his size. He's 6'6", 319. Has the ability to move around on the offensive line. That's something Gutekunst is going to look for. I would like to see them go after him if they're going to pick another offensive lineman here. Try to bolster this offensive line, get it a little bit stronger, maybe complement it with some pieces in free agency. I'll talk about that later in a later video, who I think the Packers can go after in free agency as free agency gets a little bit closer. But here in the mock draft, we're going to take Bryce Foster with our first pick in the 6th round and take Thomas Rimac with our second pick in the 6th round. Hopping down to the 7th round, I had 2 picks. I traded one away to get back up into the 6th round, but in the 7th round, I drafted Noah Whittington out of Oregon. Some might be confused why I'm picking a running back here. Noah Whittington has breakaway speed, and he's probably 4'4", sub 4'4" running back, 5'10", 190. Not a huge guy, but somebody who he reminds me of is Ray Davis out of the Buffalo Bills. Ray Davis kind of has a similar build, and Ray Davis also returns kicks. That's my reasoning for drafting a Noah Whittington. Home run ability. I like to see the Packers swing. Rich Bisaccia just resigned yesterday. He stepped down. Getting a Noah Whittington, getting a dynamic person back there to return kicks would be huge for this Packers team. Give him another dynamic in the return game. I know we've been trying to force Keyshawn Nixon back there. It just does not seem like he wants to be returning kicks. Go get somebody who returns kicks specifically. Noah Whittington returned kicks this year for Oregon and then last year for Oregon as well. He has the experience. Bring him in. Put a running back there. I believe running backs have tended to do better in this new kickoff format than receivers have. So get a Noah Whittington back there. I like to see him with his size. There's some concern. I think he had an injury last year, not this past season, but the season before. So there's a little bit of injury concern there, but I thought he looked great this year when he played. Great running back, really versatile piece. You can use him in the pass game, in the offense as well. It's not like you have to just keep him in return. With Marshawn Lloyd being a question mark coming into this season, we're going to keep him. Packers are going to keep him on the roster, see how training camp goes with Marshawn Lloyd. Hopefully he comes back into training camp healthy, ready to play. If not, you have a Noah Whittington there who could help out and contribute to the running back room. Emmanuel Wilson is a restricted free agent. And obviously if Josh Jacobs, Packers fans are telling me that we need to get rid of Josh Jacobs. That is just asinine. And that's no disrespect to Emmanuel Wilson because I really appreciate everything he did, but they both averaged 4 yards a carry. Let's not get crazy. Throw Noah Whittington into the mix though. A little speed, a little size guy. I'd like to see him added to this Packers offense as well. My last pick in the 7th round, I really wanted to take a backup quarterback. I was unable to do that though because there weren't any decent backup quarterbacks that I could see the Packers taking a flyer on. I really wanted Hayes King. If Hayes King was going to be there, take Hayes King, mobile quarterback, decent arm, giving to Matt LaFleur to see what Matt can do with him. Ended up taking Dylan Wade, a guard out of Auburn. I really just took him just to have some people again on the offensive line. Take a flyer on late 7th round, see if he can do something, produce in any kind of way there. Late in the 7th round, but I didn't really have much other reason for drafting him. He'll probably end up being an undrafted free agent. I just needed to take a guy. So that's my last pick of the draft. Don't really have much more to give on him because I just give the guy a chance and can't maybe see what happens. But again, let's just to recap one last time who I drafted. We had Colton Hood, cornerback out of Tennessee, Skylar Gill-Howard, defensive tackle from Texas Tech, Julian Neal, cornerback from Arkansas, DeMonte Capehart, defensive tackle from Clemson, Bryce Foster, center from Kansas, Thomas Rimac, guard from Virginia Tech, Noah Whittington, running back from Oregon, and Dylan Wade, guard out of Auburn. Those are my draft picks in my first mock draft of the season. Let me know what you guys think about them, if you agree with any of them. What picks might you change? Who you're looking at in terms of draft picks for the Packers, who you're liking. Or if you're a fan of another team, let me know if you like any of these guys for your team. Hopefully you don't, so the Packers can get them. But thank you guys for listening to this video. I appreciate it. Go ahead and, again, don't forget to subscribe down below. Follow for more content. Follow on X at Down South Pack or my personal account, Anthony__Boyd, for more information. We're going to be very active on Twitter here, just talking to people as the draft comes up and as free agency starts to ramp up here soon. So Combine starts Monday. We'll be paying heavy attention to that, seeing who the Packers, some of these guys who I'm looking at, see what they do at the Combine, how they perform, and we'll come back with an updated mock draft here soon. I love you guys. I thank you all for listening to it. I'll see you next time, and as always, go Pack, go.